What is the best killer perk? Over the years, Dead by Daylight has added killer after killer, and with each killer comes at least 3 new opportunities to release a really good perk. However, as of late, this isn't the case at all. Now, I've taken into account some data from nightlight.gg, a very insightful and resourceful website containing things like most used perks, most popular killer, etc. Taking this data into account, there is a bit of a difference between the popular perks and what is actually viable. However, they can overlap. But anyway, let's get into our rankings. And at the number 10 spot, we have Lethal Pursuer. Now this is a teachable perk unlocked from the Nemesis and is a must-have for all aura reading builds. At the start of the match, it reveals all survivors' auras for 9 seconds. Additionally, any other aura reading effects are extended by 2 seconds, which is great for perks like Barbecue and Chili, Darkness Revealed, Nowhere to Hide. While not as strong as some of the other top 10 perks here, this is actually a very useful information gathering tool at the start of a match and is basically useful on all killers. It's one of those perks where on its own is kinda good, but when paired with another is actually really good. And because of its versatility, it's earned the number 10 spot in our list. Just adding some extra information here. According to Nightlight, it has a kill rate of 55.47%, and I would say it's best used on killers who thrive on early game pressure. Think of killers like Blight, Wesker, or Oni. And coming into our number 9 spot, we have the undisputed king of gen regression, Hex Ruin. This is a teachable perk for the Hag, and affect any generators not worked on by survivors and regress them at normal regression speed. Originally this perk was the staple in the meta, but after a lot of changes and nerfs, and the fact that survivors are now more aware of where totems spawn, it's kind of faded out of the spotlight. But don't let that fool you, this perk is still really good even in current day DBD. I'd say it thrives more on killers who play a hit and run playstyle, or just even high mobility killers that can get around to maps and pressure generators that way. It follows the same weakness as all Hex totem perks. As soon as that glowing totem's gone, you're losing your perk slot. Like most of the perks on this list though, it pairs super well when comboed with other perks like Undying or Thrill of the Hunt. And Nightlight puts this perk's kill rate at a 55.9%. That's pretty good. Coming in for our number 8 spot, we have the former killer perk for the Cenobite, Deadlock, now ridiculously known as No Holds Barred, which will activate whenever a generator is completed, and will block the generator with the most progress for 25 seconds. Additionally, you will see the generator's aura highlighted to you in white. Now, what this perk accomplishes is a very passive and lazy way to slow down the game. It is pretty universally good on all killers, however you do run into problems if you mismatch your perk loadout. This is because whenever a generator is blocked, it becomes immune to all progression and regression, so perks like Ruin, Surge and Pain Res won't have any effect on the blocked generator. However, despite this, Deadlock according to Nightlight has a kill rate of over 55.31%. The reason I'm putting Deadlock above Ruin is just for the sole reason of if you get your Hex totem cleansed at the start of the game, it's gone, you have an empty perk slot. At least with Deadlock, you'll be able to keep the slowdown throughout the entire game. For our number 7 spot, we have the perk Surge, better known as Jolt, which causes nearby generators to explode and regress whenever you down a survivor with a basic attack. Now this perk is amazing on all M1 killers, but I would say the killers that benefit most are killers like Deathslinger and Houndmaster, as their power doesn't actually count as a special attack when you reel someone in. This perk is also very devastating on small maps which have like 2 stories, so like Midwich, Gideon Meat Plant, even Treatment Theatre to some degree. I'd argue that it's this high on the list because it's just a very reliable way of getting generator aggression on a killer. But I would say the downsides are like its range and also that killers with special attacks don't also benefit from it. But according to Nightlight, it does have a kill rate of 56.59%, so I'm just saying. For our number 6 spot, we have the perk Dead Man Switch, which is a teachable perk from the Deathslinger, which activates after hooking a survivor and will block the first generator that any survivor stops repairing for up to 50 seconds. I don't think I really have to explain how good this perk is, but on its own, it's kind of like mid. but obviously you're not going to run it on its own. This perk works super well with other perks like Pain Res, Grim Embrace, Eruption, Surge. The list goes on. I wouldn't even say that certain perks are paired well with it. You can also run like certain add-ons or even killer powers to interrupt survivors off generators. I mean, having a generator blocked for 50 seconds is an incredible amount of time. That's almost like 80% of progress of a normal generator. Obviously, the counterplay to this would be to let go of the generator whenever you know you're going to scream to prevent Dead Man's Switch from blocking the generator. But even so, a good killer will probably know where the highest progress generator is and go over to the generator and force you to let go anyway. And according to Nightlight, this perk has a kill rate of 58.66%. Now for our number 5 spot, we have the perk Grim Embrace, which is the teachable perk from the artist. You're going to end up seeing a lot of artist perks in the top category here. Now this perk will activate after hooking each unique survivor once. And for the first 3 unique survivors, all the generators will be blocked for a maximum of 10 seconds each time. And for the final survivor, it blocks all the generators for a whopping 40 seconds. And it also reveals the aura of the obsession for 6 seconds. This perk basically just lets you put the game on pause for a total of 70 seconds of survivors not being able to do their objective. Not only that, but if you pair this with Dead Man's Switch, you additionally get to block a generator for an extra 40 seconds, which is wild. You can see now why we're getting to the juicy perks here. And this perk, according to Nightlight, has a kill rate of 56.77%. Now for our number 4 spot, we have the perk No Way Out, which is a teachable perk for the Trickster. And for each unique survivor hooked, you gain tokens that will block the exit gates for up to 60 seconds once they're powered. Now this perk is your clutch perk. It is used to basically bring the game back from the end, or even just finish off the game. It pairs like super well with Noed, Remember Me, even Terminus. It's also a perk that every killer will benefit from running. Similar to how Grim Embrace just pauses the game for at least a minute, this perk also just pauses the game for a minute. I'd argue that Grim Embrace and No Way Out both would be ranked at the same level. I think that No Way Out though has a bit more consistency to it. And Nightlight says that it has a kill rate of 57.66%. For the number 3 pick, we have Corrupt Intervention, which is a teachable perk for the Plague, and it will block the 3 furthest generators for a total of 2 minutes, or 120 seconds. This perk, I would argue, now has become stronger with the survivor spawn logic changes. This would be because now you're able to consistently deny early game pressure and have a more accurate guess as to what generators the survivors could be doing. And I said the reason Corrupt is very high on the list is for the sole reason of consistency. You are able to consistently not let survivors work on the gen closest to them when they fresh spawn in. The one downside I would say for this perk is that it becomes null and void when you down someone very early on in the game, or if a survivor with no mither and plot twist goes down at the start of the game, but that is extremely rare. According to Nightlight, Corrupt Intervention has a kill rate of 54.66%. For the number 2 spot, the perk Eruption will be taking the cake. Now Eruption is a teachable perk for the Nemesis and is quite a strong perk. Now after damaging a generator, Eruption will be applied to that generator, and the next time the survivor enters the dying state, all generators affected with Eruption will lose 10% of their maximum progress. Additionally, any survivor repairing an Eruption generator when it explodes will have their aura shown for 12 seconds. Now, what I like about Eruption is that it's viable for most, if not all, killers, and what makes it strong is that it works on the top tier killers, because this perk isn't restricted by the notion of using your basic attack, so killers with special attacks like Blight and Nurse will still be able to activate this perk's effect. Although I would say more high mobility killers like Hillbilly and Blight actually benefit way more. The downside I would say to Eruption is that you can actually reach the regression limit twice as fast. This is because kicking a gen and then it exploding afterwards counts as 2 different regression events, so you're going to want to have to keep in mind how often you're actually applying Eruption to a generator. And Nightlight puts the kill rate of this perk at a whopping 58.83%. Now for the best perk of 2025 for killer. It's kind of obvious, but it's going to have to go to Scourge Hook Pain Resonance. This is a teachable perk from the artist and is a Scourge Hook perk, which means whenever you hook a survivor on your white hook for the first time, the gen with the most progress explodes and removes 20% of its total progress. And any survivor working on this gen when it explodes will scream. Now in my opinion, what makes this perk the best is that every single killer will actually benefit from running this perk. It also pairs incredibly well with our number 6 perk, Dead Man's Switch, as you get to knock off 20% progress and then block that generator for 50 seconds. Even after the nerfs on this perk, it still reigns supreme. And I would say the only negative for this perk is the hook spawn RNG. I've had games where all 4 of my pain res hooks are on the edge of the map, so far out of my way that I can never reach them. But if you pair this perk with agitation, the hook spawn RNG is a little bit more null and void and you're able to actually reach your hooks. And Nightlight puts this perk's kill rate at 57.88%. Now, obviously with all these perks that I just ranked, I did take Nightlight's data into account, but I also realized that Nightlight's data isn't quite accurate and doesn't tell the full story as to why this perk is strong or not. Because Eruption's kill rate is higher than Pain Res's kill rate, but I would say that Pain Res is just a way better perk because it's way more consistent and can be used on more killers. Now, if you're interested in more Dead by Daylight related content, make sure to check out this video up here, but don't click on it just yet. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the fog.